Oh man, Sephiroth. Alright, so we are here to talk about something that might be controversial to a lot of people, and that is Sephiroth going to be playable in part 2 of the remake? A lot of people want him to be playable. Um, a lot of people are wanting him to, they just want to control this big badass. Um, Raiden 5 or Raiden V, hello. I see you in the stream there. Thanks for joining us. Just to give you guys a little bit about me, if you haven't seen my other videos, I played the original Final Fantasy VII back when it first came out. I got a PlayStation 1, I think the year that it came out, so I got it for Christmas, and so I played it the next year in like 1998. But played the remake, loved it. Scenes like what I just opened the video with. I mean, Remake Part 1 was just awesome. So let's go into, they just dropped, or they're about to drop Yuffie's DLC on the PlayStation 5 Intergrade Intermission. So unfortunately, due to the whole state of the way things are, I still don't have a PlayStation 5. So I've been following the streams, downloading all the Target and Walmart and all the other apps to try and snag myself a copy. Haven't done it yet, but hopefully sometime after Intergrade comes out, I'll be able to get myself a copy of that so that I too can play Intergrade. But from what we know of it, we see that the character of Sonnen is not going to be playable. Oh, and I should have started off with this. This is purely my theory crafting as well. So I can't say for certain whether or not Sephiroth is going to be playable or not playable in Remake Part 2. And we are going to be talking about some spoilery stuff, and you're going to see some spoilery stuff down here in the video if you haven't played Part 1. But anyway, so one of the big hints that I see for my reason that I don't think Sephiroth is going to be playable in Remake Part 2 is that, we've got the DLC for Yuffie coming out. It's going to be 2 chapters long, and from what all we've seen, those are going to be 2 beefy chapters. I mean, we know there's going to be at least 3 boss fights and maybe a couple of mini boss fights. There's that big centipede robot. Then there's going to be Nero, and then there's going to be Scarlet in that mech suit that looks like a kind of a prototype to oh god, what's that one, the famous one? Can't remember it off the top of my head now. Type it in a comment if you happen to know, Raiden. So there could be more than that too. So these looks like these are going to be some pretty beefy chapters, and Yuffie's playable, but Sonnen isn't. He's got the ability where you can Proud Claude. Thank you. Yes, Proud Claude. I was thinking Ironclad, and I knew that wasn't right. So we're going to be able to give Sonnen commands, and he's going to have some synergies that happen with Yuffie, and I think that's going to be interesting, and I definitely think we're going to see more of that in Part 2. I might have to make another video on that, but I could go on more, wondering if how this synergizing is going to work when Yuffie joins our party and in between the other party members as well. Like, or is it going to be, hey, the more you have these characters fighting together in combat, the better their synergy becomes, and the more abilities they unlock, the more combo moves they unlock with each other. I could see that being a pretty cool idea. But moving on to Sephiroth. So we're going to get into the really spoilery stuff of the original video game and possibly the very beginning of part 2 if they follow along on the timeline. So in the original game, they right after leaving Midgar, we are open to the world map, and the first place that we're supposed to go to is Calm. So Calm is basically, it's in the original, it's really just there for our party to have a rest and for Cloud to give some exposition about his history with Sephiroth. And then we go into this flashback and we get to live Cloud interacting with Sephiroth. And I won't go into any more spoilery details than that. I'm just going to go ahead and say, hey, it's Cloud and Sephiroth and a couple of Shinra troops along with them. And this is the first time, even before we really get to meet Sephiroth in the original game, this is the first time that we actually get to see him in person. We first see him in a truck. They're attacked by a monster, which turns out to be a dragon. You can see, and this is early on still in the game, so Cloud has like less than 1,000 HP, and then Sephiroth is over here with 3,000 or 4,000, and the dragon usually gets to attack first, and he just one-shots Cloud, and then Sephiroth pulls some of his amazing moves and kills that dragon in like 1 or 2 shots. So that's our first instance with Sephiroth, and once again in the original, Sephiroth is unplayable. The game controls Sephiroth in any of the battles that we get into in the flashback. I got a feeling that they are going to do the same thing in Remake Part 2, in which he's going to be in our party, but he's not going to be playable. I'm assuming that Remake Part 2 for the flashback to Calm, or the flashback to Nibelheim, that it's going to be 1 chapter long. I could see them giving us so much content that maybe it would be 2 chapters, or maybe it'll be like 1 long chapter. Raiden says, do you think building his strength up would even matter anymore since we already fought him? That's actually a good question. Although it could be argued he was just toying with us. That's a really good question. I think it's the final battle in part 1 is really interesting because, yeah, I think he's toying with us. I think he wants us to believe that we were fighting him at full strength, that he was really trying to stop us from doing what we were doing. And then, because at the end, on the edge of creation, when it's just him and Cloud, he beats Cloud. So clearly, some version of him is capable of beating Cloud one-on-one, and possibly the rest of the party as well. So yeah, definitely a good point. And building him up, that's another good thing about, how are they going to start this new chapter in Final Fantasy Remake Part 2. Are they going to lower our party's level? Because if you play to the end on regular mode, you probably got to around 30 something in levels, and if you continue on into hard mode, it's really easy to max your characters out at level 50. So but also another possibility is, since we have kind of destroyed fate and almost possibly entered this alternate reality, or even created this alternate reality for our characters, we may have also altered their powers. Like now that they have fought Destiny, they have somehow depowered themselves. But I could see them also just kind of saying, hey, you guys are now, level 15 or level 20 at the beginning of this game. So no matter what our level is that we start off with, I think it'll still be good to show how powerful he is in the flashback as well, because it also Cloud represents the player, and so us being able to see Sephiroth through Cloud's eyes and see how powerful he is also makes it that much more impressive that towards the end of this flashback, Cloud is somehow able to kill him. That's still an extremely important arc to his story, and it raises a really important question. And that is, like, what is it about Cloud that allowed him to, get one-shotted by this dragon and that is easily defeated by Sephiroth, but somehow Cloud manifests the strength to kill Sephiroth. So, Raiden, I do think it will still be important to show, build up how strong Sephiroth was back then. And you know what? They could also do something else towards the beginning of Part 2 where it kind of shows that Sephiroth is more powerful than our party members. I don't know what they would do, but that's always a possibility. And to kind of go along with the storyline, it's extremely thematically important as well, that we, as the people watching this story unfold, and once again as playing as Cloud, didn't Cloud say, I killed you in that hallway scene? Do you think he remembers killing Sephiroth because it just cuts away in the original? I've got that recording of the flashback in the original, in the alleyway, yeah. So in Remake, he does say, I killed you. So yeah, he's definitely talking about, what happened 5 years earlier. And I can't remember if in the original game it cuts away. I remember he gets stabbed and then he picks up the sword. Yeah, he throws Sephiroth off or into the pit of the reactor. But yeah, I do remember that part you're talking about. Cloud says, in the alleyway when we first see Sephiroth in the remake, I killed you. So yeah, he's shocked that this is happening. So is that kind of what you were pointing at, or was it something different? But thematically, Sephiroth in this particular game represents something that we can't control. And in fact, when it comes to Cloud, Sephiroth actually has more control over him than he has over himself in some situations. And we see this through his hallucinations, some of which are representative of the original game, and some of which are brand new. It cuts away when Cloud tells it in calm because he doesn't remember. He remembers throwing him in the live stream very late in the game. Okay. I'll have to take your word for it because I have been replaying the original, but it's been a few months since I saw the flashback in calm in the OG game. But yeah, I think Cloud does remember killing him, obviously in the remake, but also in the original. even though in the original they kind of don't fully show that he remembers killing him. I get what you're saying there, because he's kind of like, dang, Sephiroth's alive. Like, we've got to go after this guy. But going into Cloud's, psyche, if the developers really want us to feel like Cloud, which I think so, and the other party members, which so far I think they've done a really good job of, it's going to have to be important for us to not have that control over him. We, in the original, I remember playing the original and being like, oh my god, he's so powerful in the flashback. Like when do I get to control him? And we never do. So, and I get where those people are coming from who say, man, I hope that he is controllable. Because, yeah, it's definitely one of those fanboy things you want to do. You want to be able to control Sephiroth. And to that, I would say, I think a lot of this also comes from the Dissidia games. Because, hey, you get to play as Sephiroth in all the Dissidia games, and now in Smash Brothers too. And who remembers Air Guys? I think I pronounced that right. The PlayStation 1 combat game where they had, I want to say, Cloud, Sephiroth, and maybe Tifa. And then they also had all these other famous PlayStation characters that you could fight, like Mortal Kombat style. So they had God Hand, they had a ninja, I don't know if it was Ninja Gaiden or not, and they had several other characters from other video games. And it was a very shoddy kind of game, but yeah, just leave a comment if you remember Air Guys. I think it was like called Air Guys, God Bless the Ring, or something like that. But anyway, back to the modern day stuff. Through Dissidia, we got to play as Sephiroth, and I think people really enjoyed that. There's always that meme of playing as Sephiroth and constantly just beating up Tidus from Final Fantasy X over and over and over again. And now people loved it. Recently, it was last year when they saw that Sephiroth was becoming a playable character in Smash Brothers. So I think that's also one of those situations why people are really hoping that he'll be playable in this game. But once again, just for the thematic reason of, Sephiroth represents our players' lack of control. Like, he is something that we can't touch. We don't get to control him because he is uncontrollable. He is essentially the most powerful being on the planet. So but now this leads me to really my last point of this particular stream, and that is, if we can't control him, do you guys think that he is going to have some synergy moves that we can do, like Sonnen? Or do you think he is going to be just completely guest party member like Red 13 in Part 1? If they stick to their guns like they did in the original, I would say he's just going to be a guest party member, and he's going to be right there fighting alongside us. I would still like to see us fighting tougher monsters that Cloud simply can't handle. Maybe he is like, I don't know, what level do you think Cloud will be in the flashback? You think he'll be like level 5 or 6? Because it's always iconic for Cloud to become level 7 during the first encounter of the game, and technically Cloud didn't have any other combat in between then and now. So yeah, real quick, I'll let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys want also. Let me know if you guys are hoping that you will get to play as Sephiroth, or if you're kind of on the same wavelength as me and you're like, you know what, for the purposes of the story, Sephiroth shouldn't be playable. Raiden says, I think he was level 1 in the original flashback. I may be wrong. Yeah, I don't remember what he was in the original flashback either. I feel like he was, if I remember, seeing his HP, he was close to how he was in the very beginning in the initial reactor bombing mission. Let me see here. I'll just do this to give you guys a bigger view of the big badass himself. They did, man, just looking at this scene too, they did such a good job of integrating all of the compilation. I mean, the hint of Advent Children right here, which I certainly didn't get until I watched like Maximilian Dude and some other people explaining the ending, because I've seen those, you know how these popular games come out, and then before you finish the game, you know, all these hardcore gamers are already like, the ending to so-and-so explained, you know, the ending to Resident Evil explained, the ending to Horizon Zero Dawn explained, the ending to Final Fantasy VII Remake explained, and I'm just like, really? Come on, guys. It's going to be another one of those videos where the ending is kind of obvious. It really doesn't need an explanation. You're just putting this video out here just to get views. And then I got to the end of Final Fantasy VII Remake, and I was like, I understand why these ending explained videos are 2 hours long. But yeah, so I loved going back and playing this, and also watching other streamers playing this video as well. Raiden says, I'm super worried about the Dirge of Cerberus stuff, but I'm keeping an open mind because the compilation is generally handled well in the game. I totally agree. And I think they're definitely hyper aware of the mistakes, and they had a lot of years as well to gather that fan feedback and see the fans' reviews of Dirge of Cerberus. And there are hints that they are kind of retconning it, but then also, since we're going to have, for the most part, the same producers and the same staff working on the remake compilation, as opposed to different teams working on it, like the different team worked on Dirge of Cerberus. So based on what I've seen in part 1, I've got confidence that they will do this game justice, and I think they're going to be able to please the new fans and the original fans alike. So I'm one of the original fans, and while I didn't necessarily like all of the changes they made, like this scene right here, when they introduced Sephiroth for the first time, I was thinking it's kind of a weak entrance, or like it's just not as impactful as the original. So, but then after seeing the ending, after seeing all the theory crafting from other YouTubers, and then coming back and seeing this, I'm just like, okay, I see what they did there. It took me some time. I still don't think it was as impactful, but especially for new players coming to this game, they did need to get a little bit of a taste of who the main villain was going to be, because he was the final boss of this game. So I'm going to go ahead and close this video out, unless you guys have any other questions or thoughts that you want to share. Thank you guys for joining me, Raiden. It was really good getting your comments, because it definitely made me think of a few things where I'm like, oh dang, yeah, that's a good thing to mention. Hope you guys enjoyed this stream. I know it's a bit of a short one. Thank you for joining me 30 minutes late, and I hope you guys will check out more of our board game and video game videos coming to you on the Failroadexpress. I know we'll have one about the Halo Master Chief Collection that's available on Steam. Me and the guys went ahead and got that, and I think the other guys are major Halo fans. Hey, Raiden, it was great having you here. You guys have a good day. All right, guys. I will see you guys next time. Oh, and we won't have a lot of new videos in June because I will be away working away from home for a good 2 weeks. So the next video might come out this weekend, and if not, I'll probably get a video out towards the end of June, but we won't have any new videos in the middle chunk of June. So, but look forward to more on the Failroadexpress, guys. See you.